Hey guys, here I am in my Washington, D.C. hotel where I've just come back from my conference, and this is going to be my first broadcast concerning how to be an interpreter. Every time I'm going to try to bring up one or two or three points, and today my points will be quite simple. We are going to start with the basics. The main thing will be in this video that you always speak in the first person. You never say, he said this, he said that. What you do is when the speaker says, I'm so happy to be here, you say, I'm so happy to be here in the target language using the first person, I. However, what happens when the sound cuts out, for example, you can't hear? Are you going to say, hey, I can't hear? No, you're going to say in the third person, the interpreter can't hear, which indicates to everyone that you're no longer doing this role play, which consists in acting as if you were the speaker. You are now breaking out into reality, saying that you're you, but you have to use a third person, because the first person, they've gotten used to the fact that that has meant the speaker the whole time. So now you use the third person. Attention, the interpreter cannot hear. Could the technician please assist with the sound? That enables someone in the room listening to go get the technician and fix the problem. So you use the third person when it's you, the interpreter, speaking, and you use the first person when it is the speaker speaking. Now I have a little trick to teach you, which is sometimes you do end up in funny situations where you can tell, and I'm talking about outside the booth. Let's say that you are in a social event and you have been tasked with interpreting for people who are socializing or talking, without microphones, and generally what I'm referring to is a situation of a socializing, and you're starting to get the feeling that they aren't saying very much. This happens. They may feel like they have to keep talking because they've been put together in the same place, and you as the interpreter are starting to feel like, well, I am doing my work and I am being professional, but frankly, I think that they're not using me very well. They don't really want to talk, and they don't have much to say. And I'd like them to sort of maybe realize that they don't really want to talk anymore. Well, there's a little trick that I've learned through the years, which is to be a bad interpreter where all the while continuing to transmit the message. And you can be a bad interpreter by going back to the third person. It's funny, it's something that I learned. If you start saying, he said this, and he replied that, suddenly they don't realize what's going on. They are not interpreters, not linguists. They don't really generally know that you've suddenly switched from the first person to the third person when you're referring to each of them. And they will suddenly realize, start treating the interpreter as a participant, as somebody in the room. Because your goal when you're using the first person is for them to forget that you're there. That's when you know you're really succeeding at carrying the message. If they suddenly turn to you and go, oh, I forgot we were speaking different languages, I sort of forgot the interpreter was here. That's a very good sign. That means you've been doing an excellent job. Now I'm talking about when you have a good reason not to do an excellent job. You can tell that they don't really want to talk, they haven't been saying anything for a few minutes, and you'd like them to sort of realize that you are there and that you may be tired and maybe you need to sort of get away. Maybe there's some other work to be done somewhere. Switch to the third person. This is a little trick that I've learned, and start saying, well, he says this and he says that, and that sort of brings you forward into the room, and it can get you out of that kind of situation. There you go. This is my first video on my new YouTube channel, and there you have it for the first and third person.